Hey everybody, welcome to Reverse Homesteading. Thought I'd do a quick update on what I'm doing in the garden, re-clean up for winter now that it's winter, and how I pack things up, as well as another compost system, which will hopefully keep rodents out. These buckets usually keep them out, unless they're extremely persistent, but it depends what you put in there. So, I have done this system before in the Far North on my Rocky Tropics gardening channel. Not sure that I really featured it much, but I did have some holes in the bottom, mainly because it was a chicken feeder that the chickens couldn't get the hang of, but also because I wanted to let out the nasty liquid in the bottom there, which is probably also good for the garden eventually once it breaks down. But yeah, it's got a lot of germs in that sort of thing. So in here I've got some old basil stalks, I've got some leaves just so it looks nicer for the camera. But down the bottom I've got a few little fruit and veg things, and some dirt actually from pots that I thought weren't worth trying to grow in again. Collecting my little labels that I make. I have another video for that. Have a little info link that you can click on. I often just rub the date out when I get inside and I dry them off. I'll use an eraser to take the date off, and then I put them in little piles and put rubber bands, elastic bands around each pile, because they tend to grow the same things over and over. This is my little honeydew, which I'll take inside and see if it tastes any good. There was another one, but it was squishy, so I wasn't going to try that one. Guessing it won't taste extremely nice, but we shall see. So I try to keep my bamboo poles in similar length lots, and I often, if they're still good, I'll keep the ties on them, so it's much quicker to do things once you actually get to it. I realised the other day this bed was almost empty apart from the beans I was going to take out, so I took the pots out, put some in over there. So that's the garden bed that I cover for frost each night, just in case, and just because I don't want to take a chance, I just cover them every night. This little bean here is different to the green beans. It is a cowpea, or black-eyed bean. It's, yeah, not really a pea. Black-eyed peas are actually beans. I've said that before in my videos. When I cut off the beans, these were black-eyed beans here that just didn't do much because they were planted a bit late. I leave a bit of a stalk so that I know not to plant right next to them. But beans and peas fix nitrogen into the soil, but only if you leave the roots behind. So you have to chop them off at the end of the season and leave the roots there, and that will slowly, they'll fix nitrogen in the soil. Leach it out from the nitrogen fixing plant, I think is the correct way of saying it. Yeah, so that's preparing the soil for this coming spring. Still got our green onions. They'll go right through winter. They're also called shallots. We call them spring onions usually here in Melbourne. Borage is doing well, that'll just keep going. I have planted out some of my dwarf nasturtiums that I didn't know where to put after I grew them from seed. Yeah, so there'll be a nice bit of colour for each little garden bed I've put them in. This one there as well. Covered up my wheat a little bit more with some more soil that I had. Yeah, so these little babies will be fine until I plant them out or put them in bigger pots. Still don't know where to put my sweet pea. They're a little bit poisonous for kids, so I have to be careful about what I do with that. Although the grandkids will not be here unsupervised, but just to be sure I have to think about it. This is what happens when you plant leggy plants when it's not a good growing season. So now it's winter. These are really unlikely to do anything. These are golden silver beet or chard. I did have 3. Oh no, there's still another one. They could still take off. I don't need the space, so I'm going to keep them there. But that's what happens with leggy things. Haven't planted these out, but I have refreshed the beds with more sugarcane mulch, which is very easy to find in Australia. You may not be able to find it where you are. You probably have an alternative. Killed a couple of caterpillars. I'm hoping that that's all. It was a couple of weeks ago that I left the nets up and forgot to put them down again, so I'm hoping that's all the cabbage butterfly has done to my veggies. I'm not sure what's happened to this little one. I think it's just natural attrition. The leaves here a little bit funny looking, but in the middle it looks happy enough, so hopefully it's just lost a leaf. All these little kohlrabi are doing well. I noticed this morning that some of them have a new fresh little leaf. Little green one in the middle. So they're adapting okay to being out in the wild. So yeah, little mini crunch still heading up nicely. The other thing I was going to show you was what I was going to do with the remaining garden beds that I haven't planted out yet. So one of the aldi beds is going to be a Thornless Blackberry bed, and the other one is going to be a raspberry. So they don't need much space for their roots. They grow like a weed and need to be a little bit contained, and they'll need to be netted for the fruit against the birds and other creatures. We don't want caterpillars or anything on there. So they will be propagated once we get to spring, summer, and they'll have their own little aldi garden bed, which are these little green ones over there. So that will get done eventually. These two garden beds here are going to be probably for capsicum and peppers and things like that. I want to grow a lot of palmero chilies this year. So once I get this other part of the tree that's actually dying a little bit off, there'll be a lot more sun here in this crazy messy area. So I'm going to put my cherry there because it can deal with a little bit of shade. Apricot will go there. It's not planted yet, and you've probably seen my Sweet Sensations nectarine. They're all full-sized plants. The other ones are almost double in price to get a dwarf plant, and I thought, seeing as I'm cutting them back to a spelly of them anyway, I'll be keeping an eye on their growth, so it probably doesn't matter that they're full-sized plants. And yeah, we'll hopefully have a couple more trees out, so we won't have a huge amount of shade through the day in the garden beds. That's the update for today. Hope you're doing well. And one more thing that I forgot to show you yesterday that I noticed and forgot to put on my video. My little purple grape hyacinth bulb is starting to shoot. There are about 3 in there, I think. There are some in the garden, and only one of them has started to shoot. Looks very similar. Probably no use showing you in the garden because it's over the other side. But I'm happy about that, and I will still think about where to plant my persimmon and my pomegranate because they're almost dormant now. I'll need to find a permanent spot for them if they're going to go in the garden. I hope your garden projects are going well. Hope you're having fun in the garden in general. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.